Well, welcome back, everybody. SJJMAS number 17 with Stefan. Accept no cheap imitations. You've made the right choice. This is not the cheap Chinese knockoff. This is the real deal. And today I have Stefan with me, who's a Twitter mutual, an ex-mutual of mine. So Stefan, welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. This is the scrapings from the bottom of the barrel of Stephen's DMs. I'm very excited to be
Oh,
here. Very
come off,
excited.
come off it, come off it. Do you have a better intro for yourself?
Oh, I
Like,
just post onto it. I just shit post. I just thought, I've consumed all the content. It's very incestuous now. I'm going to talk about it for an hour. I've watched all the fucking people, and I think they're kind of silly, so that'll probably come up a fair amount.
yeah, we can also explain that Stefan is also one of Claire Core's former online wives, husbands.
Uh,
Sorry, fucking, I'll
yeah,
get it the right way around. Yeah. So I think what was it when I did my disappearing act?
it's when you were in Russia, mate. Yeah, I was left behind, and
Wait, get it right. I went to Langley, Virginia to get my assignment for
Oh,
retail.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. There's so many of you around, or us around, that I forget. But yeah, yeah. When you did your disappearing act, Claire she was out in the cold. She was looking for other people to talk to on the internet, and I
Yes.
was on Spaces all the time. So I was doing a few with Claire. To be honest, it's not as it wasn't like you doing them with Claire. It wasn't that regular. But I hung out with her for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, it's community service. I don't know what crime you committed, Stefan, but look, these things are sent to trial. So well done there. We were talking in the pre-show. Actually, we should have just hit live in the pre-show because something that we have in common is kind of being disaffected by the dissident right. Would that be correct?
More or less. So it's the old thing of what even is it? I mean, when I was sort of coming around to it, people at that time were saying, "What is it? What are we even in? What is this thing?" But yeah, I'd say in general, like the typical talking heads or whatever's left, whatever slop is left on my timeline today is mostly fairly poor.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, so as an avid viewer of Millennial, I know how to set up this topic correctly. Stefan, what I do is I ask you, Stefan, tell me about your red pill journey.
Um,
So, to when did to be clear, when did you first discover this scene on the internet?
I
Were
think
you old school
like
or what?
yeah, like most people I'd seen. I remember actually weirdly vividly. I remember getting a Sargon video in my recommended. Before I knew he was, before anyone really knew he was. This is back when
Yeah.
he was still shilling that Necromancer game that I don't even know if he made. This is really a long time ago.
Oh
He
my
was
God,
looking
I
for
don't even know
crowdfunding
if I
for a
remember
video
that.
game, and he was still working in an office. He wanted to quit his job, and he wanted you to pay for it. And yeah, I watched him for quite a while. He got massively popular around that time. I don't know what year that would have been. Maybe
Wait, this
2014,
has got to be like
2015.
2015 or 20, yeah,
Yeah,
2015.
yeah.
This is
But
pre-Trump.
yeah, the jump to like the sort of I don't know more. I guess I wasn't even really that right wing, or if at all back then. Yeah, the jump to that was really after 2020. As you can imagine the reasons why. But my mind got fried once, just like everyone else, and I found
Yes.
all the people that were talking about it. We'll probably mention, and yeah, lo and behold, here we are. After a few years, you sort of age out of it a little bit and make your own mind up about some things, or spot enough bullshit that you sort of lose a bit of faith in some of the people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you remember? Were you ever a 4chan guy?
Yeah, I'd browse, but I was never like I wasn't one of these guys who sat on Paul weekend. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fairly aware of all that stuff from for quite a long
Yeah.
time.
What about? We're getting a bit risque here, but what about um, Andrew Wanglin's thing?
I sort of
The
missed that. I missed that era in a way, like the sort of the full alt right, that whole
yeah.
period. I was sort of doing real life more. I quit Twitter actually. I quit Twitter. I was massively on Twitter since I was like a young teenager, not on like super political stuff, just talking about music or whatever, video
Yeah.
games. And I was trying to write an essay for college in like 2016 or something, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I was just so addicted to Twitter, couldn't concentrate. It was like having ADHD or something. I was constantly
Wait. We must be
feeling it.
about the same age then, really, I'm
Yeah, I
guessing.
think so.
All right. Carry on.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, I got off Twitter, and then that meant that I got swept up in a bit of like the YouTube Jordan Peterson craze wave at that time, around the time I got off Twitter. Obviously, I just got onto YouTube more instead of really, getting rid of these things. But I wasn't around for like the super alt-right days, really.
Yeah. Just a second. Claire's just messaged me and said my audio seems a bit low, so I'm just checking my fucking sound here. One sec. Pulling up sound preferences. Input. Surely everybody hasn't let me be on the wrong mic all this time without shouting in the chat. Do I have a chat full of retards or something? I mean,
No
it
one's
took Claire
talking.
Core. What is that like? How does it sound?
You sound great to me.
Sound great to you?
I don't.
Living the
Do I have
dream
the live
with.
chat or do I have an internal thing? I don't know. I guess I have an internal.
This is the live chat on the right hand side that is pulled from YouTube. Living the Dream says, "Oi, he doesn't like being called a retard." Look, audio's 5 out of 5, says dude.
Claire's just got
Right.
one earphone out or something. It's fallen out on it. Like, anyway.
Yeah. So, what were we talking about before I rudely interrupted?
I was just saying I missed the full-on Giga alt-right crazy Charlottesville. I missed all those days, really. I wasn't on Twitter. And Twitter's kind of where it takes place more than anywhere, especially at that time. So, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah. I was a lurker too for a long time. In fact, I probably lurked. I think I too found Sargon in 2015. I definitely before Trump. I was listening to Sargon in my garden that 2016 summer. I definitely know that.
Why did you like
Yeah.
him back then? What attracted you to Sargon?
Because anti-SJWism was funny at the time. That was
Hmm.
when, all these guys, well, Sargon in particular. I mean, his format was golden, wasn't it? He'd throw up a video with Anita Sarkeesian's face on it, play 20 seconds of her going, "I don't like men in video games," or something, and then he'd go, "No, you are the retard. You are the problem."
It was easy back then. It's not to say the value is always high these days, but it was just reaction content, That's all it really
It
was.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
And those were such innocent times. I mean, can we go back to complaining about women in video games and harassing them on the internet, please? I mean,
Yeah. I swear that's the point I just sort of jumped off of Twitter was the sort of Gamergate days. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think people sometimes talk about Academic Agent from back then, but I don't really remember him. Don't really remember that man being around, but I think he was a libertarian or something, wasn't he? And so he's made a jump a bit like Sargon. He's made a similar jump than Sargon, but he did it a lot more quickly, something like that.
Yeah. Hold on. Somebody say Stefan's too loud. This can't be real. Come on.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to just jump into the stream. Give me 1 second and I'll listen back.
Oh. I'm drowning out, Stephen. I apologise. Did not know.
It sounds perfect to me. It sounds fine to me. I don't know what people.
Maybe they're just saying I'm too loud in general.
No, look, you can't get the audience. You try your best in this game, but you just can't get the audience. So, what about then? When did Kuma, you see, is a troll, so now I know it's a troll. Okay, that's cool. So, what about then where were you when Trump won the election? Were you watching and were you excited?
I'd predicted he was going to win, and it was actually for sort of I don't know, SJW's own kind of reasons, if I'm being honest. I wanted him to win in a purely haha funny kind of way. Um,
Mm.
I remember my stepmom talking to me at the time and saying she wanted Clinton to win. It's just like, who do you think's going to win? What do you want to happen? And she said, oh, well, she actually did the she is a woman thing. And she's my stepmom's not, she's not dim. And at that point, I was just sort of like, I'm just going to double down now. Like, this is stupid. What are we doing? I'm the real liberal here. I want Donald Trump to win. You want her to win for facile reasons. I want something different than this. So yeah, it was a bit of one of them. I don't remember
Did you?
watching it specifically.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't stay up live.
I don't think I can't remember, so I can't have. I'd be able to remember, I think.
Because if you remember back, it was what, like 2 months after the Brexit thing.
Mm,
Where? Oh, that's a good. Where were
I remember
you
that
on?
more. Yeah,
Where were you on Brexit?
yeah. So I this is funny. I voted to remain. I remember I
Oh my
went.
God,
I know, I
bro.
know, I know, I know. It's cursed. It's cursed. I know. We went down to the polling station as a family, and I was sort of like looking at the thing, looking down at my feet, being like, "Fucking hell, no one can really see what I'm ticking, but I still feel pressured somehow." And
Did you?
yeah, I did. I voted to run, yeah. And then when it all came through, I was also the person saying, this is the will of the people. Everyone needs to fuck off and do it now. You know,
Everybody's directing
Ramon.
letters at
Yeah,
you.
I know it's great. I'm not gonna. I mean, I could have lied about it, I suppose, but obviously, I'm quite.
No, that's fine. This puts you in on the same level as academic agent, so don't worry. And we know how base and red pill that guy is. So yeah. So yeah. By the way, during the lead up to Brexit, I plastered my local town. It's probably we probably as well, Stefan. The other thing is here, which we don't know. We've never talked about it. We probably could. It's possible you might even like live in this probably like one of the houses opposite me. We could probably be that close. It's just
Yeah,
bizarre and not realize it. Anyway, um, I
I was the
plastered
guy
my local.
tearing your leaflets down, mate. That's the thing. That's what you don't know.
Well, there was somebody doing it. Yeah, I plastered my local town in fucking leaflets the 2 weeks before the election in stickers. I used to download them off the internet. I bought this special paper from Staples that, it has like this. Anyway, it has like the stickers ready, and you put it in your printer, print them all,
Mm.
and then I put a rucksack on, put like a full like A4 ream in my backpack, and then just go for a run around the town at like 1 a.m. and plaster the shit out of the whole thing. And then I get up the next morning and go for a walk around, and it was hilarious to see the whole town just plastered.
That's awesome. You,
But
you just decided to do that. You weren't sort of like there wasn't a group or anything. It was just like, I fancy causing
I
a bit of
just
chaos.
decided to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a black pill to this as well, in that I put on a lot of them. I wanted to know if it would have any impact. And so I put on a lot of them. I included this short link with back then a QR code. Many people didn't
Mm.
really know what they were, but there was like a short link and a QR code. And if anybody visited the link, it was a trackable link, so I would know. And do you know how many
Oh
link
no.
clicks I got
Like
for that?
10 or something. Like 10.
None. Zero.
None. Oh.
Zero. Zero. So, I mean, this
Do you live
just
in a retirement
total.
village?
No.
You are right though.
No.
People didn't understand. I mean, especially average person on the street, there's not. They don't even realize you can just use your camera to do a QR code. They're still like downloading an app or something. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah. But I mean, you couldn't get on a bus without staring at one of my posters. You couldn't. I don't know. You couldn't wait for a train without staring at one. I put them literally everywhere. So the fact that I got zero link clicks then made me realize that like this kind of postering business just is. I don't know. It was very
you
black
wouldn't go
pill.
to
I had
prison
nothing.
for it. That sort of thing.
Oh, well, that's another topic entirely now.
Right? Yeah.
Because I remember when the Hundred Handers guys came around, right? They appeared on the scene trying to encourage people to do postering. And so I'd already had, by the way, for the spooks listening, my postering was legal,
Mm.
okay? In the 2 weeks prior to a general election or a referendum, all the rules are relaxed on political flyering, and you basically can get away with putting up official election material. And what I was downloading was like the vote leave posters, and putting them up. So it wasn't anything, it wasn't racist or anti-Semitic or anything like that. So there was like a I was doing it within the legal window, just excessively. So, yeah, when the Hundred Anders guys came around, I knew that basically leafleting and postering is just useless. Nobody looks to it.
I mean, it might
So,
just change the general impression. People will notice them, right? But they're not. I mean, you sound sort of unusually motivated, especially for a young person, to just of your own accord go out and do a bunch of leafleting. I think that's yeah, that's unusual in itself. Yeah, all you're really changing is what's in people's eye line, and they're not even necessarily looking at it really or caring about it.
yeah, I once heard that the reason advertisers like Coca-Cola or Nike or whatever constantly pay for advertising is because it takes something like 20 you to see something 20 times to make you think about like considering
Hmm.
buying it. So, I mean, I don't know how real that is.
I mean, did I don't know. Well, not like you can really measure the difference, but did your area vote in the right direction from your point of view, or
Yes, I think so. I think it did, yeah.
yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah, a lot of places in the north
Yeah.
did really. I see. I'm in the worst of all worlds now because I see people in the chat saying, "Oh, I'd be more embarrassed about having voted Brexit," whereas I'm the guy who did vote Remain but then wanted Brexit anyway, aren't I? So I'm just worse off. But there you go.
Oh
So
yeah,
that
Natman
happens.
Prime. Well, let's talk about that then, isn't it? I mean, Natman Prime is right, right? But at the time, Brexit was the right thing to do. I maintain it was the right thing to do. But now, looking back on it, I think, what the fuck? We got scammed,
Right.
basically. What do you think about that? Do you think it's been a
Yeah.
disaster?
So what the argument is, people followed the right kind of intuition, like we want some kind of measures to limit immigration, so on. But the upshot was successive governments that raised it. Is this, or is it the old
Yes.
like racial one where it's like, oh, we prefer like Eastern Europeans or something? Either
Well,
one.
so my regret is based on this that it was a referendum on immigration. That's what everybody did.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, all we seem to do is if you believe that I go at what's on face value. So if you believe people are sitting around in rooms smoking cigars, plotting like the end of the white race, I
Mm.
can't help you with any analysis. But if we go with face value, then by voting Brexit, all we did was cause the government to be in paralysis for 2 years, and then the economy to get ruined, and end up with infinity migrants because the government panicked about the line was going to go down, and so the Boris wave ended up happening, and
Ding
basically
ding
we've not
ding.
recovered ever
Bingo.
since.
Boris wave. Yeah.
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 So in hindsight, do you think that Brexit was a disaster?
I mean, I don't think you can segment it off like that in that way. I think
Hmm.
ultimately it was for someone in power to carry that will forward. Even in ways that don't immediately pertain to what the referendum was about, as you're saying, like we can just take it to mean we want to limit immigration. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, do you think with hindsight, could you have predicted, the direction things ended up taking?
No, I
I don't
mean,
think so.
nobody predicted COVID. That was an absolute black swan event. So the fact that we got hit with that after Brexit was so unlucky,
Mm.
because we ended up bankrupting our country through that. So the question is, could we have because sorry, I'm jumping all about it. Basically, the argument with Brexit was many of us knew that it was going to be like potentially a bit difficult for a couple of years while we figured out our own trade deals and whatever, but then we'd start bouncing back better. But then COVID hit, and we decided to sell out the country to give Grandma an extra 3 months.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I think either way. I mean, I think if you couldn't have predicted the outcome of Brexit, regardless of COVID, I mean, yeah, you've just got to say if people wanted to limit immigration and that's what they thought it was about, then they're going to vote. They voted in their interests, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, equally, like we can't pretend that we're like some gigabrain mass of people in Britain who can like game it all out and know exactly what's going to happen, and then we can like plot on a graph like, oh well, this is the likely outcome of this. But come on, like this isn't how politics works. It's not how people's psychology works. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to vote Brexit. It's not like I'm never going to turn around and say, oh yeah, like I knew all along, and that's why I voted to remain. Like, no, of course I didn't. I was just doing what my family were doing. Like, that'd be ridiculous.
yeah. So or you at least you were easily led back when you were younger. What
I
about now
was
then? What about your first time when you were able to vote off your own back?
the first time I'd say I voted. Yeah, so that would be when. Ooh, what election would that be? Was that 2017?
Theresa
Ooh,
May, 2017.
I think the first one I was living outside of my family on my own would have been. Was it 2019? The one after that?
That was December 2019 was Boris Johnson. Get Brexit done.
Yeah, I was. I looked at the constituency I was living in at the time, and I was sort of, I was reading through the manifestos in the morning, talking to the people I lived with, and I remember coming to the conclusion that like this is all just the same. Like all the,
Oh,
this,
wait, you
there's,
look at the manifestos, what the fuck?
it was a bit of grandstanding over breakfast, because I was sort of had some bee in my bonnet about being time, and so I was,
Yeah.
just going through them, and because all of us were sort of relatively undecided young people. We didn't truly have like an ideological dog in the fight. Maybe we'd vote with our parents like we used to when we were younger. I
Yeah.
was going down and I'd not really even made my mind up until I got to the thing, and the paper was in front of me, and I saw, Brexit Party,
Mm.
tick, or cross, I suppose, which is hilarious. So in my constituency, it was a completely wasted vote. It meant nothing. I think I was one of about 200 people or something. But
Right.
it was just more like I'm never going to pretend to be a gigabrain when I tick the box.
Mm.
It's never the case. Um,
I live in it's like, it's a Labour stronghold,
yeah,
really safe Labour seat. But in that 2019, the Brexit Party almost did it.
the
It
surge.
was, yeah, it was that close. So, but interestingly, when it came to the one that we've just had, um, reform didn't get anywhere close.
Really? Oh, that is
Yeah,
interesting. Hmm.
yeah, this is the thing. I think a lot of people have soured on the Brexit thing. This is one of the concerns with Nigel.
Hmm.
People today, what don't you think that there's always going to be 50%, well, what was it, 47% of the country voted against Brexit? Those people are like vehement Remainers, and a lot of them feel like they've been proven right because it didn't work out exactly.
And
Even
now they can be
Brexiteers,
proven right for the wrong reasons, right? I.e., immigration stuff. Even if
yeah,
they're preaching to a right wing person, they can say, "Oh, well, look what happened! Look what happened."
precisely.
Uh,
So that 47% will never vote reform, probably,
hmm.
because Nigel Farage was the face of Brexit. They hate him, they really, really hate him. So you can cut off that 47%, and then there's a bunch of Brexiteers who got really pissed, really upset with the fact of how the country went and regret it. So they might never vote it. So now you're left with about, I don't know. At best, if you're lucky, 30 to 40% who would even consider voting for it. So then, of that 30 to 40%, this is where Nigel manages to get his 20% roughly across the whole country. But
Hmm.
to actually turn out like above, the levels that you need to win a particular constituency in a particular area to have, which is about like 35 to 40% of the vote in an area, is a bit tricky for him.
So what's the upshot of this in your mind? Is this where you try and convince the audience to vote for Kemi Badenoch or something?
Oh
How are you,
god.
how are you, how are you, how are you
This
turning
is
the ship around?
value-free analysis right here, bro. I'm not pushing a thing. When I get Harrion on, he's
Uh,
going to. I'm trying to get him on to do the "you must vote reform" angle.
okay, yeah, he's big on it.
Yeah, I do for the Anglo gang. I'm willing to say reform. Let's go for reform. But in my personal mind, I'm still open.
I mean, I'd made some disparaging comments, I guess, when, in the period where Nigel'd not announced yet. And in fact, he said, no, like, I'm going to go and help Trump in America. I can't be bothered to do it here. In that sort of period, I'm retweeting a
Yes.
few things that were sort of like, I'm not the biggest fan of Nigel anyway, but like, just fuck you then, I suppose. Goodbye. Like, and then when he comes
Mm.
back and the whole, everyone that I'm watching on Twitter is absolutely loving it, like clapping like seals. There's something that triggers some weird response in my mind, like I'm watching some mass psychosis happening in front of me. I'm sort of like, I guess Nigel can just do what he likes, really, and that's it.
Well, in a way, politics needs mass psychosis to work,
Well,
doesn't it?
true.
So,
Yeah, it's not a bad point.
so it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, any kind. Here's the thing that people don't like. People naturally like, particularly on the dissident right, in that you're naturally contrarian. So you naturally
Mm.
don't like something that's mainstream. So the moment that any, it's almost like you're you're like you're inoculated. We won't use the V word. You're inoculated from ever like ever getting on with any success, because the moment something is successful, you're like, oh no, I can't be involved with that. It's cringe or it's bad. It's too mainstream. So you're like forever a loser, really.
I,
And
I I think if I
the
knew
dissident
somebody who
right are
was
forever
involved,
losers.
if I knew people personally who, like people in real, I'm not talking about online. I mean, really knowing somebody
Mm.
who was involved in party politics, and I felt as though they were telling me, explaining from a, on the ground view how it works and what you can and can't get away with, what's realistic. I think I'd be more inclined to, well, I'd be more inclined to be less of a contrarian. You know what I mean? I'd be less contrary. Um, but I think increasingly politics is being, only seen on the level of spectacle, and that, there's very little understanding of the machinations. For better or for worse, it is just a sort of a play at this point that we're all watching. And I don't. It's easy to be in the peanut gallery like me throwing tomatoes, right? Of course, so it's quite a simple thing. And a lot of the times, if you get, there are a few guys on Twitter who are more involved with parties, and maybe some of the more radical people call them shills or whatever, um, who I think are actually very reasonable and aren't, they're not just shills. They sort of see how it works on that lower level that I'm talking about. All that
Hold
being
on.
said, I'm not
I've
about to go and
just
join a party. Oh,
I've just
carry on.
unplugged and replugged my mic because apparently my sound is shit. What the heck is going on with my sound? Can somebody in the chat tell me, is my sound any better now? Do 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 do
I
do
think you're coming
do
through a lot
do
louder now. I think
do
that's good.
do. Is
Yeah.
it better now? Now is good. Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Probably ruined your entire interview, Stefan. Oh my god. With bad
Nah.
sound. Thank the Lord. Sound is fine. All I had to do was plug and unplug as well. Holy shit.
Come on, you're the futurist Zoomer. How are you not getting the plug and plug solutions on lock?
I expect people in the chat to recognise and tell me exactly what the problem is straight away. Sorry about this, everybody. Look, I'll do better next time. I accept my failures, unlike some. Okay, unlike some in the distant right. So where were we? Can we complain about the state of the distant right now then, Stefan? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's go for it, yeah.
Let's do it. Let's moan and whinge about. So somebody came into my comments the other day and they said, "You are an idiot. You need to shut up, stop doing streams, shut up and just pay attention and listen and learn." And I was like, okay then, who should I listen to? And then they never answered me. So who is it that's giving the value-free, big-brained analysis that you respect on the distant right?
Oh, well, you're posing the question backwards. I thought we were hating.
Well, let's find out who you love first. Who's good?
Who's good? I'd say basically everyone I think is all right. I've bothered to get in contact with and DM and talk to. Basically, I think there's something deranging about the way in which the dissident right talks to the people who are the audience. I think there's something strange about it. I think that's what causes a lot of the dysfunction on some level. That's where a lot of the sort of, yeah, but no one's doing anything sort of people come from. Because, it's a bunch of people who are just like an audience watching, saying, why is no one doing anything? And it's like, well, because you're an audience and that's their income stream, essentially, So I think I guess my little ethic has always been like, if you actually like someone's stuff, if they're writing articles or doing streams or whatever, go and talk to them, befriend them, try and like assimilate what they're about, get to know them, try and do something with them. I think that's that's where something begins. That's not just, here is, 200 people to watch you stream over Christmas or whatever. What do you think to that? Wasn't exactly an answer.
Wait, are you you're negging on SJJMAS a bit there? You're saying this is fucking useless, bro. Get out into the real world.
For me, no. For me, this is a version of the thing I'm talking about. It's like, talking to Stephen. It's not just the sort of, who's your guy? Like, who am I gonna, whose pronouns am I putting in my bio today? Am I a fan of, Semi-Agog or fucking so-and-so, whoever? Academic agent.
That guy. Oh my God, you named him. Yeah. Oh my God.
Are we not allowed to name?
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
yeah, cool. This isn't millennial. Of course we are. This is the difference. After I've done a decade of dissonance, I might too gatekeep my show, but for now we can name and shame. So Semi-Agog, oh my God, that guy is such a fucking stoner. Ugh, can't bear that guy. He
seems sort of ageless, like a vampire or something. Like I can't quite tell. Like he has sort of light hair, but he looks too young for it.
He also claims to be a bouncer, but yeah, he's like a 50-year-old twink.
I mean, what do you like living in Turkey as well or something? Is he a Turkish bouncer? Is he wearing a fez? Like what are we? Anyway, yeah, I don't understand.
I don't get it. Anyway, he was the first guy when Academic Agent and I had our spat. He was the first guy to, suck Academic Agent's dick so hard it nearly, hit the back of his gullet and tell Academic Agent to... Literally, he was in Academic Agent's replies going, "You need to prosecute this man. Go to the police.
Oh.
Go to the police and contact a solicitor." And I was like, what the fuck is going on here, bro?
What were you alleging Academic Agent to have done, or how was he going to prosecute you? For libeling him?
All I said was he looked like Vladimir Zelensky.
Oh, come on. It's not
Literally
much,
a joke. Literally a joke. And he made the same joke himself. He put up this...
I bet he loves that.
He put up this text from his wife, where his wife said he reminded her of Zelensky. So, I thought, this is my shot. I saw that he'd done this speech at Traditional Britain Group with his face on camera. I took a screenshot of it. I put it side by side on a stream with Vladimir Zelensky, put them side by side, and I said, it was a joke. Hands up, it's a joke, bro. I put them side by side, and I said, "Is Academic Agent a self-hating Jew?" And the internet lost the plot. So
I think his
yeah,
thing itself is like, I think at this point either he's so big or dissident right is so diminished that it's sort of only worth talking about him as a phenomenon.
who
He
AA?
sort of sucks. Yeah, like I think he really sucks the oxygen out of the room. It sort of is his. It's his little. It's his
It's his
geography.
creation.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Yeah,
deeply strange when you just do the simple, like, yeah, but you're not even entirely white sort of thing. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
It's another version of Groypers.
That's what Joel Davis
where,
did. He just called him the
Oh, Claire's already
P-Ademic
said it
Agent.
tonight. Yeah, don't worry.
Has she?
In the stream chat, I saw her write it. I was quite shocked.
She get
and
away with
affronted.
it?
Well,
Oh
she
my
didn't know.
God.
She used the, when you put the emoji for one of the words, it was that kind of thing. She was sort of euphemizing anyway.
Oh my God. Wow.
I know.
Claire, we don't allow racism here, thanks very much. Don't know what they allow in China, but not here, thanks.
Yep.
Goodness me, shocking behaviour. Yeah.
But what is it about that group of guys? Like, are they just sort of tied together? I mean, obviously, it's a social sphere. Like, they all sort of jump in and jump out of streams and all that. But you know, is there a financial tie? I mean, they're getting each other gigs in a sense, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's all riding off the back of just AA's ego. That's the ultimate. That's the linchpin to the dissident right. It's just one big straight man's ego. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. For I don't know, like a year, like in 2021 or something, I was probably bought and sold into the cult. I was watching it, enjoying it, whatever. He is a clever guy who put on a good show. He filled a niche where the old alt-right had died, everybody had been censored, kicked off to whatever, D-Live, Odyssey, whatever. They just vanished. And somehow he was on YouTube and he was doing these panel shows. And every week he'd get a bunch of guests on and then he'd rotate the panel and he knew what he was doing. He'd keep this cast of characters coming back so you get familiar with them. And then, if you become familiar with somebody, you like have an emotional tie, so you like enjoy their presence, and then you take them away, and then when they come back, you get like another rosy feeling. It's all very psychological. I believe he knew what he was doing as well, that this is like farming an audience, because he spoke of himself as the Alex Ferguson of the dissident right. So I believe it was, I know it's cringe now.
The dissident right's not won a championship yet, that's all I'm saying. Alex had how many? I don't know.
They've not.
Fucking 9 or something. Come on. I'm not a football person, I'm just guessing, but come on. Where's the dream team, you know what I mean? Where's the golden generation? You're not Ferguson unless you get results, mate. You're just sat at home. What's going on?
Yeah. You've at least got to make a few predictions that come true.
Yeah.
And this is one of the problems with the DR, that, that they're as correct about predicting like the future as the rest of us, really. No, I don't think anybody's really very good at predictions. So,
well, they're often selling you a sort of framework, and sometimes I'd say that the sort of assumptions of the framework are the propaganda. Essentially, you sort of sell someone on, some content. Maybe it's analysis of an ongoing war or some crisis or whatever it is, and then
yes.
That's current. People are going to click on it. People are interested. It gets your eyeballs in there. But I think it's the sort of like, if you consider yourself someone who's like an aficionado of the academic agent or whatever, then you want to know how he thinks and you want to copy him. You know what I mean? You want to sort of like do the same thing yourself even. And I think that's the sort of, this is how it gets bizarre and incestuous, I think, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. Is I'm one of these people who likes to indulge in sort of content. But yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody tell you there's anything wrong with doing meta-analysis on the content you're creating. This is another
Okay.
meme that goes
All right.
around, Stefan. Right?
Yeah.
They tell you, like, they'll tell me I'm a bad person or whatever. You know, there's people out there who listen to like Academic Agent and whatever, and they're like, that, you know, they've still got the rose-tinted glasses on. They think it's all innocent and sweet, and so they look at somebody like me who dares just to talk about it. Oh, whoa! I dare to like, you know, critically analyze the content that I'm looking at it, and they're like, you're a bad guy. No, not at all. You know, I reject this whole framing entirely. It's like the millennial frame. Oh no, they're trying to tear us down and cause divisions. Oh my God, no, I don't believe in any of that bullshit.
More brother wars, Stephen J. James.
Yeah. Oh, SJJ is punching right again.
More brigading. More, yeah. No, I think that's. Yeah, the no punch right. That was even a point of like that. We were all meant to know that at some point. Everyone was meant to become aware of that phrase and take it in and do it or something. I don't even know where that stuff comes from. I keep my ears and my eyes open, you know, but I can't even always tell where that stuff comes from. And everyone's saying it all at once again, and I'm sort of, seeing all the horde of zombies as usual.
I mean, how can you ever be sure that you're not in a cult yourself unless you do like meta-analysis? You know, you stand back and you think, what am I listening to here? What is actually going on? Is it all like, you know, legit and whatever? You know, you've got to, I think, maintain a level of self-awareness and perspective on this stuff. And my opinion, as everybody knows, is that this like self-awareness has been lost from many people on the distant right, and many people might not be, or some people, like the Academic Agent, might be farming you, or at least in the past, where I think he's made his money now. I think he just didn't fucking care. You know, he's kind of shut the shop down and fucked off, basically, hasn't he? But I think
that farming process that's part of the sort of parasocial thing that I was talking about before. Like you do sort of come to think and see in the same way as those people, but not necessarily for the better. I mean, it's very true. I mean, I tweeted before, like, a bunch of people saw it. It's like, it's incredibly sad thinking that someone is out there getting a kick out of woes opening their Christmas card. You know, like that kind of terrifies me. Like, I don't know. And then I guess like the most fucked up part is that there are other people out there who are getting a kick out of someone getting a kick out of watching. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, like how is that even a show? You know, it's so depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
are you not sending Millennial Woes a Christmas card this year? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I've never. I don't know. Is his address out there? No, anyway, no.
Yes. Oh, come on, dude.
It must be a PO box. It must be a PO box. He'd be getting all sorts in the post if it wasn't. He'd be getting screenshots of those DMs he was sending people in 2018 all the time. But, yeah, anyway.
I wonder what he gets other than Christmas cards. I'm not condoning this, by the way. Don't take this as anything like. Don't think I'm trying to incite anything here, please. We're just talking meta. But do you remember? Did you know that Boogie 2988 once put out a PO box for his fans to send him gifts?
I mean, he's a real lolcow. He would have received all kinds of sex toys and what else?
No, 4chan.
There you go. Yeah.
Right, 4chan got together and inundated. I can't even say this. They inundated his PO box with human turds. Wrapped him. Yeah,
that's quite impressive because you've got
packages of shit.
Do you reckon it was like one guy just eating pure fibre all day, or do you think it was like a distributed effort to? Sorry, this is a bit disgusting, isn't it? But that's actually quite impressive.
Well, we don't condone that.
No, genuinely, it's repulsive too.
Absolutely, genuinely don't do that. No. But yeah, it's probably, look, let's be honest, probably just a money laundering scam because, you know, I really, and I mean it in the nicest way, but really, Woes is hoping that you if you send a Christmas card that just says Merry Christmas, Woes, he's gonna open that and go, oh, another fucking empty one, you know. It's
add to the pile. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you think He doesn't shake them before he opens them, does he? He's not got his ear up to them.
No. But that's the idea. Basically, it's you can put a $50 bill inside that card, and if you haven't realised the trick, that's what you're supposed to be doing,
Couple of
basically.
rubles here. Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to go there, but yeah. So I might do a Christmas card stream this year.
How much is a PO box to set up? Is it expensive? I mean, it could be a funny gimmick, but might not be as well at the same time that you've outlined.
I think it's like 20 quid a month or something like that.
No, it's not bad. I thought it'd be.
Yeah. £42.60 a month. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a bit of a whack, I'd say.
Yeah. Mousecat says AA milked me. Absolutely.
Well, Stephen as well. Yeah. I don't think I ever had a distinct AA period, although I was when the old Russian invasion of Ukraine happened, I was sort of swept up in it. I was swept up in the happening for a few weeks there at least, if not months.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, what was your take on it?
Oh, at the time I was like, okay, so I was in a Twitter space as it happened, right? It's just a coincidence, really. I said to my friend, Russia's just invaded Ukraine. He said, shut up, fuck off, you cunt. I said, no, they have, honestly. It's like the BBC and stuff. It's the serious, reporters that are saying this. And they had, and we were sort of swept up in this, I don't know, they've got this technology, and, they get, obviously, as you said to, was it Nick's last night, like they bum rushed Kiev, they tried that whole thing. That lasted a few days. So, it was exciting, but in general, yeah, I can't even find the origin of this, but for some reason, unbeknownst to me, now, I was on some sort of Russophile wave for a while. I was there. It was me. I was milked by something. I don't even know who was milking me. It was in the dark, Who knows? But it happened.
Well, you're probably the first person to tell me that they recognise this. So go on, tell me more.
Well, I don't know to what degree it was just a general thing at the time. I don't think Okay, right. There's things like, I don't know, like a sad wave edit and all that, if you want to talk about the latest thing, that sort of prime people to be affectionate towards somebody who otherwise they wouldn't be. Then there's also, obviously there's the whole level of, okay, now I think it's got to be the biggest thing, is just the degree of resentment a lot of people have towards the West, a lot of Westerners have, especially in the DR. It's fucking right. It's insane. It's everywhere. Yes. And I sort of hear things coming out of people's mouths sometimes. And there is no real difference between them and someone who is just an absolute enemy of the state they live in or their nation, as them being a part of the nation, part of the people. So that's quite disconcerting once you begin to notice it. And I think it is basically that sort of simple thing is slowly spinning me and peeling me away from the talking heads, because that's sort of very deep on the agenda somewhere.
Yes. We have criticisms of our own societies, and those are legitimate. We look around and we see degeneracy. We see like things going to shit. We see infinity invaders, and so we then become dissidents. We're dissident from the right wing isn't enough, so therefore we're dissident right. This is framed as being further right than the right that's available to vote for. So then you're in this category, and then the people are pitching solutions to you, are pitching hardline authoritarianism, usually with like a sympathy or like a fantasy of a third, another Third Reich or something like this. So we are programmed towards wanting some kind of authoritarian, hard, solution to come in. But I don't think anybody's actually fucking ready for something like that. And there's no guarantee, that what you would get Like if the UK toppled, like if the UK government toppled, there's no guarantee of
All
what
bets
would
are
come
off. Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
All bets are off.
I mean, look at any sort of revolutionary, the Vanguard Party always becomes like 12 different things and one might win, then 40 years later the other one comes. It's always fucked. I think
Isn't
when
it much more
people
likely that the communists would sweep into power? Some communist faction. They're always way more organized.
well, yeah, I think that's the right principle, that it's the organized that have the best chance of being successful. Yeah. I don't think it's likely to actually happen anyway, and that's not me trying to blackpill any, revolutionary fascists that are listening or communists. I think it's quite unlikely. I think, life in the West is surprisingly good, actually, which people don't want to hear, but fair enough.
Well, you see, every time I come to read Stephen's super chats, we are going to get to them. I want to keep the conversation flowing. So, yeah.
He sent you the cost of one Monster Energy to read out his question. What's that?
I can't complain because last night I got fucking $150 super chats sent to me.
Whoa!
Like, oh my god! I was like, I've made it. By the way, thank you again to John 2029. I even looked it up. It's let me get it back again. John, this guy.
Is he a
John
known quantity? Yeah.
He basically, I even looked it up, and in John 20:29 is, then Jesus told him, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. So, look, I feel like I made it anyway. I've never got super chats like that before. But
that's incredible.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to get to the Kremlin super chats in a minute, Stephen. Don't you worry. But you said that you look around and you say things aren't that bad in the West. People will like throw tomatoes at you and say, "What the fuck, bro? What do you even mean by saying that?"
Well, I mean, in the broader context of even just how most of the world currently lives, I mean, it's quite clear, like, the standard of living is still good. I think on some level, it is just insanely entitled to expect essentially the highest standard of living that's ever happened on Earth for the average person of any nation to, be the norm. I think it's bizarre. That would be the sort of, we're going to turn back the clock to the 50s or the 90s sorts of idea. But that's not typical life.
Don't you think we just have a temporary invader problem? We've got to believe we can fix it. And like the excesses of progressivism have gone a bit too far since 2010. And we can turn all this around, surely. Otherwise, I mean, we've got to believe that. I say to people that basically like classical liberalism or whatever it's technically called worked for hundreds of years. And it's only late, in like the last 50 that things have gone off the rails.
Mm. So, and going off the rails too means social issues, which might include immigration, although I think that's more driven by economic issues.
So, but we have to believe that the problem is temporary, surely, and that we can wind this back without ending up with losing our basic freedoms and the rights of an Englishman, the desire to not live under chains, to not have an oppressive force, to have representative government when you need it, and all this kind of stuff. The shit of the Enlightenment that you get people like Academic Agent basically telling what you need to do is live like a fucking slave under a Saudi prince, and that will be good for you, and you'll not even have a tablet. You'll not even have an iPhone, and that will be, and then, you'll know that you've won when they've taken your iPhone off of you and your wife's in a burqa.
There's no TikTok, but I don't know, but if he's still here, has he really ever won? That's the sort of question, isn't it? That's the peculiar framing that he must have to take. He doesn't want to deport that half of himself, but he wants something more ethno-nationalistic. And at the same time, he's very tolerant of, what most of us would consider to be the sort of worst of the social problems. So yeah, I don't understand his position on this kind of question at all, to be honest.
You see, BPP says that praising the Enlightenment is what the intellectual dark web does. Come on, SJJ, kvetch harder. Well,
it's Jewish to be an Enlightenment.
You
it's like,
know,
well, okay, so like, I just can't
dude.
be English then. I just cannot be an Englishman if that's
Oh
the
my
case.
God,
It's just
fuck
impossible.
me, dude. This is the talking about. Basically, we need the whatever it is, 25 points of National Socialism, and that's how we fix the fucking world. And we've all got to go back to living in collective societies. I just don't like it. I looked through that program on the internet the other day, and I just don't want it. Just don't want it.
Yeah.
I just don't want top-down government control of everything like that.
I don't think many people do in this country, especially.
No, I don't want such government interference in my life. I'm sorry, my instinct is to be free, is the liberty of the Englishman.
I think these things get wrapped up in like very simplistic accounts of our own culture, where it's sort of like, oh, if you have any communitarian impulse or desire at all, then you must want, I don't know, communism would be the classic thing to choose, I suppose. Or if you want any degree of power, then authoritarianism is the only answer. It is strange. It's like, I think most people, like, I think probably the most pressing issue for most people, and it's so pressing that I think a lot of people don't actually settle on it and think about it, is basically the lack of family formation. I think that's probably the worst part of it. It has implications for your day-to-day life, being in love, having a romantic relationship, all that stuff. I think that's
here BPP says, lol, 90% of people comply with the lockdowns. Individualism, bro. Yeah, and look who the people who rebelled against it were. It was all the people in the dissident right. So all the people who were telling you that they want authoritarianism were all the ones who couldn't stand it for like a couple of months.
I've actually had that myself, like this kind of argument before, and it is kind of interesting. Like at the time, I'm kind of the guy you're talking about now. I was, people saying, "Oh, you say you want authoritarian, solutions, but you don't like the current authoritarianism." I'd say, "Well, yeah, but I don't share the morality with the ruling elite, so that's the problem." I mean, ultimately, yeah, I'm not going to agree with any other form of immoral governance. Why would I? I don't share the morality. Sort of ridiculous. There is no like authoritarianism as such, right? There's only the control and how you use your power, if you want to use any term, and how you wield it and to what ends. And the things you choose at that point would essentially be a description of your morality. You're choosing this and not that. So the thing you choose is better.
Oh my God! Look here, the Kremlin's even proven that they're not actually listening to us talk. They're just like feeding the super chats into the show, because I just explained like 10 minutes ago what I was going to do with the super chats. As grateful as I am, so let's.
We've already got two Stevens. We can't have a third. We're gone.
Right. So look, Stephen says nationalist voting for global Britain. Better to have infinite Somali immigrants than Poles. So they're talking about the Brexit chat earlier.
So, fair enough. I mean, is Stephen a sort of Wignat? Is that the easiest way of putting it?
No, he's a Muscovite. He lives in Serbia. He's a passport bro. He believes that we should flee the UK and take up residence in trad Serbia or Russia.
And it's not a racial thing. He's a true Russophile.
I think he honestly believes it. I mean, I joke that he's literally a Kremlin shill, and that's why we have the joke and that. But he seems to have be walking the walk. He's done it. He's in Serbia. And he says it's white. It's basically a white ethno-state.
And okay, so he sells it to in that manner. So there is a racial element. He prefers it because it's white.
Yeah.
Right. It. Interesting.
So he's saying,
to be honest, I don't think I don't think English culture actually, essentially you need multiculturalism to integrate Eastern Europeans into England. Like, this is the problem. We're not the same. Perhaps we're similar racially in a global sense, but I don't think it's a one-to-one. I think it only quote unquote worked and it only seems better compared to the Somalis in this example, because we already lived in a multicultural state in which, people could essentially do what they want. I mean, at least where I lived, they were seen as a huge problem until very recently. So I don't think it's as simple as sort of choosing between Eastern Europeans and Somalis. Is it pick your poison? I mean, you chose to move to Eastern Europe. I don't know. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's not feasible for most of us anyway. Like, it's feasible for these. I did it on the stream with Stephen Broughton. It's feasible for somebody who's a digital nomad. You're earning your money.
Right.
What he doesn't understand is that he's dependent upon the Western economy. He calls the West like full of, he hates the West. He wants like Russia to topple the West or whatever. But he's earning his money in Great British pounds and US dollars.
And if he set down the mines,
if he stopped doing that, he'd have to he can't make his money in Serbian under the Serbian economy. So he's a digital nomad, living, hiding out in the white ethno-state of Serbia, but still he recognizes that the West is the best for earning money. So anyway, thanks for the super chat, Stephen. And next up, he said, would Stefan agree the schism on the distant right is between entryists and accelerationists? I quite like this question. It's an interesting one.
Interest in terms of political party, like the obvious idea of it. I don't even know who the accelerationists would be though. Who would you point to?
Well, everybody who believes that we're waiting for a power cut and a chimp out to take back control, which is the dissident right. If you talk to them, basically, that anybody who doesn't believe in a political solution.
It's accelerationism vis-a-vis laziness, in which you don't actually try and make things worse. You just wait and see what happens and call that acceleration. Yeah. It's an interesting question. I don't even know if there is a schism as such, to be honest. I mean, is this a particular argument people having currently, or?
Well, I think there definitely is a faction who don't believe in a political solution. So, right. I would say, so the argument will be, when we talk to Harrion, will be the only political solution you have on the table is reform. Reform offers the closest, it might not be anywhere near perfect or what you envision, but it's the closest to your goal of immigration restriction. Therefore, vote reform and, start to get into, if you want to do something political, join reform, get into the party machine, do it now. Because the plan is then to influence reform, to maintain baseness, become more base, do more, etc., etc. Whereas everybody else will just say, fuck that, there's no political solution. We're waiting for society to collapse.
You either join reform or you're waiting for your chimp out.
Yeah. Which one are you?
Oh. I like a good chimp out, that's the thing.
What if it never happens, though? That's the thing, isn't it? Brazil still hasn't had one.
Yeah, it's true.
So
I think it's fine to vote for reform. Most people I know voted for reform. I thought about it. I threw my chips in with someone else. It wasn't Labour, it wasn't the Tories, so it was essentially a waste either way. And yeah, I can see getting behind reform. Like I said before, I don't really like Farage, to be honest. Like, he's not someone who I really want to represent me as a person. So if we're talking pure like kinship association, the sort of immediate psychological angle, I'm not for him. But I think you make a decent argument. See what Harrion says about it.
Okay. Thank you for that super chat, Stephen Broughton. So, Jord says, no, SJJ bro, can't you see the 25 points are the only way to attain trad, blonde, milkmaids dancing in wheat fields and other LARPs? So many people on the DR believe this. And if you don't go along with it, you're a cuck. I'm a cuck. Basically, I'm a cuck.
I mean, most people aren't going to, get with a blonde bird. I know it represents something slightly different, but when you actually investigate what that kind of aesthetic preference actually, pertains to, it's very limited. It's very boring. It's very pointless. Like it's none of the things people actually want. It's a sort of it's a vision of a faraway place. It's not going to be achievable really. I think it's fine to deport people. It's quite a simple solution. We're going to be left with roughly what we have. It's not going to be like a revolution, even if we do deport everybody. It's not gonna change all the other problems overnight, and that shouldn't dissuade you from wanting it either, because it's the biggest problem. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Living the dream asks, what is the 25 points? It's the 25 points of German supremacism. That's what it's literally known as. We yeah, go and look it up. I mean, living the dream knows all about it, I'm sure already. Yeah, the point is though as well. Let's just say the point is about this is that getting those trad blonde milkmaids only lasted for about 10 years, and then like Europe was fucking in ruins. So I mean, see how it worked for you.
Do the Kremlin offer that anymore? Do they offer you the trad milkmaids, or is it like all sort of strange mystery meat people from the east, or what's the vision? What's the up-to-date vision from the east at the current date?
Well, my understanding is that Moscow women are hot as fuck, to be honest. Actually,
all right.
Here's the flip side of it. I think, from my understanding, Moscow women are really hot and really educated and pretty, even intimidatingly so. They'll like read history and whatever, and they're like 6 foot tall and blonde, and
sounds good.
So like in this particular area, maybe St. Petersburg or whatever. So I see the attraction. This is like what people look for. I mean, you occasionally see the memes going around. They'll like put on one of these blonde Russian athletes, I don't know, doing the pole vault or whatever, and she is stunning, absolutely stunning. And then it'll show you Britain's Abu Akabaka doing the same. So the memes do the compare and contrast. I get it.
I mean, the phenotypes existed both places. This is not the norm for anywhere on Earth, basically.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely, yeah.
And that's not to say that, like in Somalia, everyone's blonde. Someone's going to take that fucking mad out of context. But yeah, in Northern Europe, you're going to find that phenotype. You can see it here. You can see it there.
Yeah. There is definitely specifically the tall blonde phenotype is Russian, I believe. It's a very interesting one. I see a lot of tall blonde girls from Russia, which is interesting.
So is that what Stephen
like 6 foot?
Broughton's in for? Is he sort of searching for a tall, dark Serbian mountain woman, or is he married? Or
no, he's married. I think he's married.
Oh, he's married.
He's got a kid. He's got a kid. He says he's doing the trad life, so I hope he's married his wife. Yeah. So I mean, good luck to Stephen. He's doing his thing. But the genuine thing is that like Russia is a vast region. When you look at it on a map, it's like 3 times the size of China or whatever. It's huge. It spans the whole Europe and Asian continent. Across the whole top, doesn't it? So its size, it is vast. It's like in 2 times the size of North America. Therefore, it's this massive multi-ethnic region. And so up in Siberia, they look like Clarecourt, and down in, down in like the Balkans, towards the Balkans area, they look, I don't know, more like Ralph Maslimani or something. And then, in the
Caucasus,
middle,
they look like Nina Pavini, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have that Dagestan, which is all the Muslims, where all the UFC fighters come from. Nurmagomedov. I can never say his name.
Khabib, whatever fuck. Yeah.
Yes, Khabib. Where they all come from. So it's this vast region.
The proposition just isn't there, even to defect. It's just, maybe having a summer in St. Petersburg would be fun. I wouldn't be against that necessarily. But I can't commit myself to that as a civilizational project. There's nothing there for me.
St. Petersburg and Moscow, and basically something like, I don't know, 100 miles or 200 miles, in a radius around these two cities is where
Right.
it's at. That's what people think of when they think about Russia, but they don't realize that the vastness of the rest of it, which is this basically Asian and brown and Muslim continent in all flavors. So, yeah, it's interesting.
I think basically we should take Claire Coe's angle here. Like, she's here because she wants to convince the rich and powerful Westerners to get on board with her project. And I think she's got the right idea, essentially. She's barking up the right tree in terms of the rich and powerful. I don't see any reason that she'd go and evangelize to Russians or something. So there you go. That's how I make it about Claire Coe.
Yeah. Shall we invite her on for the last?
Oh, I'd love to talk to Claire. It's been ages, actually.
Let me just send Claire the link. Has it been a long time?
Voice chat, yeah. She sends me a million DMs and I don't reply. So that's a form of communication. I do sometimes read them, but
yeah. I also just let the read tick happen, but look, she's got a link in her inbox if she wants to hop on for the last minute.
Lovely.
Sobieski Rizes says, "What do you think about Nick Griffin, when he says to move east and wait it out a few generations?" Well, this is the same
fuck me.
take, isn't it?
Fucking hell. Is he really saying that now? I know he was sort of going that, slowly moving there, but what is there to wait out a few generations? If you live in a few generations, your children in a place, you become a part of that place. You don't, sure, there's arguments there. It's not entirely the case. Like, there's different sort of degrees of difference and whatever. Maybe it's speeded up or makes it longer. But yeah, in general, I mean, if you, as an English person, go out somewhere 2 generations later, your grandchildren are going to be like an eighth of you. So I mean, really, like, what are we talking about? What do you come back to? Who is coming back? A white person in the most general sense, but culture unknown, religion even unknown. I don't see it myself.
Yeah. What about then, Stefan, seeing as we are of the same age, or close to it, how is your we've done your red pill journey. What about your getting a family and getting like that started? How close to you are you with that? Do you even want a family, or are you like a non-natalist or what?
Yeah, no. I wouldn't say it's like it's not a point of like my politics or anything like that, but I'd like one. Yeah, I mean, I can see my own family shrinking, and it sounds a bit strange. It sounds like fear almost, but that does sort of make me desire to continue it more out of defiance almost. I can see it sort of becoming very thin. But no, I wouldn't want any in general. Like, I don't know. I'm a bit of a romantic guy, I'm a northerner.
Yeah.
I've got red blood in my veins. It's kind of strange not to, in a certain sense. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's not going to happen tomorrow for me though. No, I'm sort of I'm a relatively small step on the way.
Okay. Are you feeling the pressure yet? Because I know I am. I'm feeling my life is, I'm
moves
I see the big 3-0,
Yeah.
up ahead, and I'm thinking, what the,
Yeah,
where
that's
am I with my
spooky.
life? I'm doing nothing, probably,
I have quite a defined attitude about most things, but when like I'll see my mum at Christmas or Easter or whatever, and she'll say she'll make a sort of, she's not pressuring at all. It's not like I have some like Chinese grandma telling me to like have a few kids or something, but she'll make little comments here and there, and I can tell that's what she means, and that does kind of get to me a little bit. I'm like, fuck yeah, you're kind of right, Mum.
Yeah.
Should get on with it. Fuck me.
Do you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
No, I don't have any yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
no,
God.
yeah, just no. Zero. It's just me, mate.
Oh my God, well, let me pile on the pressure then. Don't you, that your parents or your mom, or the only thing, let me feel the pressure here, Stefan. Do you realise the only thing that your mother wants now is a grandchild?
I know. She's not going to get anywhere else, exactly. You're right. Yeah, it's a crazy state of affairs.
Yeah. The only way to make your mom proud now of you, the rest. Basically, you're an adult. You can't do anything as a child to make her proud. You can't, like, you can't win a prize at school or anything. It's all over. The only thing left for you to make your mother proud of you is to produce a grandchild.
Yeah.
So,
What was that fella
no,
saying to you the other night? Was he saying, shut up and reproduce or something? Shut up and go fucking...
yeah, get to shagging.
shagging.
Come on, get the fuck to...
I liked it because for him it was more of an all-encompassing philosophy of just shagging, which that actually adds more interest in it than when people are like, oh, the fucking birth rate's gone down. And it's like, that don't make me want to shag, do you know what I mean? That makes you want to curl up and fucking ball a little bit. So he's the right idea, that guy, Liverpoolian guy.
Yeah. Yes. He wasn't Liverpudlian. You talking about
Oh, is he
Phil?
not? Was he a Wool or something? He didn't have a Scouse accent, all right?
Stoke, I think he's from.
Oh, fucking hell, I'm way off then. Fuck's
Yeah,
sake.
somewhere like that. Stoke on Trent.
Oh, they're all the same to me. It's the fucking West, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not doxing. He talk. Yeah, I wouldn't say anything that I know privately. This is just my gathering from watching his streams. Could be wrong. Yeah, Dude says, "Get on it, lads. Having kids will fulfill you."
Yes. Are you, Stephen?
Yeah.
Are you one of these people who sort of thinks to themselves like, "Oh, I need to like do this and that first"? Do you have some sort of, psychological barrier in the way, or?
Yes, I felt like I needed I needed much more money for one. To like to be honest, I'd never actually thought about it as that I need to reproduce. Here's the pressure. Let's have a child. Until recently, really. It was actually watching. Do you want to tell me to tell you the truth? It was watching JFK Rapey. And he has completely changed my philosophy.
Don't compare yourself to him. He claims to have shagged like 1,000 women, something like that.
That's not true though.
Yeah, he's alive, but that's quite funny. It's funny.
That's like if you tell a lie, make it a big lie, and then the bigger the lie, the easier it is for people to believe it. It's like, oh my god, if he says 1,000,
he's always got some concubine. Like he's always got someone, hasn't he? Sort of hanging around like a baby machine.
He does though. This is true.
Does he find them like for that express? But I guess he does, and he's like a biologist. That makes sense. But they must be into it on some level. They share his vision, right, of becoming his concubines. They love it. They're into it. Or they're too mentally retarded to actually know the difference. But that's another story.
Yeah. Kemidov says, let JFG be a cautionary example. Well, I mean, I don't think I'll ever, be in risk of like. No, I'm not going to say. I'm going to say burying my wife under the patio. Burying my wife under the patio. I don't believe he's done that. To be fair, although he is currently on the run from the Canadian police, so.
Is he?
Yeah, he's not been seen for 2 months.
I caught him in he'd done a Twitter space, and I was listening in, and he said he's got a new bird, and he said she's a Christian, and he was reading the fucking Bible in the space, and I thought he was having some kind of psychotic episode because it didn't seem like him at all. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Well, I mean, I played it on Anglo Gang a few weeks ago, where he came on the space and he was crying. The Canadian police. No, he's not Scottish. The Canadian police are after me, or whatever, and they've tried to get me, or somebody's tried to get me, and I've had to implement my escape plan, and we have escaped, and I'm talking to you from in the car, and
is he just content farming? Come on, is he serious?
I believe him.
Wow.
I believe him. I mean, Mama Jeff did disappear.
Been years, hasn't it? A year and a half, something. Been a while.
Maybe a year. Yeah, maybe last June, was it? Or was it this year?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't this year.
I think it's been a year and a bit.
A year and a bit. Mama Jeff disappeared, and she'd not been seen since. So he's got this new wife, but because of Mama Jeff's disappearance, he got doxxed. He
Of course.
used to hide his location. In fact, he used to put people off the scent by saying he lived close to the North Pole. When Mama Jeff disappeared, the Canadian police put out like an APB all points bulletin
Yeah.
about this woman,
Prince Edward
and
Island,
so
wasn't it? Something like that.
we found out it was Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that blew his years-long cover. So now he's basically done a runner.
Wow. What if he disappears as well? That'd be interesting. There's another power at play in the story.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
he's
there's someone
supposedly
who's
got
getting him
two
to
kids
breed
with
for
her.
them. You know.
Supposedly got 2 kids with Mama
With
Jeff.
Mama. Oh,
Yes.
okay. I knew they'd won.
Which makes the disappearance even stranger, because for a mother
Very
to
abnormal.
abandon her children is unusual.
Yeah. She did seem a little bit off, but like not in the, abandon my kids sort of way.
She's schizotypical, I think,
Yeah.
which is it's that type of schizo that just like you can be pretty normal, but you will entertain weird, really strange delusions and stuff. So like you might be a genuinely functional person, but then you believe in like that the government is tapping your phone and has put cameras in your light switches and and all this kind of crazy shit, and really entertain these deep dark delusions, and then it all comes out at once. That's like schizotypical.
Well, maybe she's the sort of person to run away then if it all comes out at once in some way.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't get to tell you about JF. Right, the way that he influenced me is that he pointed out the biological thing of that you are an unbroken chain going all the way back, basically, to the first life form on Earth. And that is a chain of reproduction that is unbroken to this day. And along the way, billions of those chains have been broken by, organisms not reproducing. At some point,
Yep.
a chimpanzee didn't reproduce, and that line was broken at some point. Blah blah blah, all along the way, and then various humans, but somehow you are improbably, it's like more worse odds, than winning the lottery. The fact that you exist as one of those unbroken chains, and how arrogant it would be of you, knowing that fact, to say that the line stops with me.
So you don't believe in something like, I don't know, reincarnation or I don't know, some way for you to be multiple things, in different lifetimes or something.
No, I don't. I actually think that if there is life after death, it is through passing your biological package into the next generation. And so the only way probably for you to live forever is for you to reproduce and send your genes into the future so that they live on. And only with your genes living on in biology do you have life after death, which
Do you
makes it
actually
an
believe that?
existential crisis to reproduce for me.
Yeah. Yeah, if you believe that, that's really heavy. You're over. It's over.
It's
Even if
over.
you
Please consult the graph. It's never been more over.
I've been big on the it's over and nothing ever happens type of wave. I think it's very funny. I think there's a lot of humour in it. And I like when people get annoyed at nothing ever happens gang, of which I remember now.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an existential crisis for me that maybe I might even consider like, I don't know, if I don't reproduce, go and like, I don't know, I can see if a sperm bank will
Bank and that.
entertain me and see if I can just at least make sure it happens like that.
Entertain you. God. What? Entertain your aging spermatozoa.
Yeah, it wouldn't be awful if I go there and like, okay, 6 foot, blue eyes,
You come with the
kickboxer.
credentials. Yeah,
kickboxer or whatever, but then they say sorry, but you're already a bit too old.
Sorry, you
It's
drank that
over for
Monster
you.
Energy last year.
It's
so
over for you.
Yeah.
We only take like 18 to 21. It's over for you.
No, listen, that is heavy. I don't believe that myself. That I must reproduce as an imperative, like as if me reproducing is like my own Heaven's Gate spaceship that's going to carry me away. I don't believe that. But I think it's probably, parents tend to say that it's quite joyous to raise your kids in the way that you see fit. So
George says, doesn't SJJ have siblings or cousins? His grandkids will only be 1/8 of him by definition. Well, what I want to tell you, George, is what we call junk DNA may not be junk. So, anyway, that like most of your DNA is considered junk DNA, and anyway, if you believe in, you probably believe in like homeopathy or something, where basically something's been diluted. Basically, a tincture has been diluted down to the point so many times that there remains within it basically only one molecule per like 1 billion molecules left, and they believe that that still contains the essence of it. So just keep diluting it down. There'll still be a little bit there.
there'll still be a vessel for you to come back, like some weird pharaoh from 6,000 years ago. Live your life again in a new body. I don't believe that, Stephen, but it sounds like a lot of pressure as well. I think you should just have kids for the sake of raising them, and raising people correctly, because that's what I mean. I don't know. It's probably a bit late in the conversation for this, but it's like it's fucking mental when you walk down the street and you sort of this is a bit Blackpool, but you look at the average person and you're like, fucking hell, how this is scary to me than the immigration thing, because you can just get rid of people, but the level of quote unquote human capital seems like it gets worse every year, amongst British people.
Yeah, are you talking about the genetic quality of?
Well, I don't know if you can eyeball that. I mean, I live in an urban centre in the north. I see all the same things you probably see.
Yes. Do you know that people walk around my town? This is just on a visual. People walk around my town now with shopping on their heads.
Oh, fuck off! No, I've not seen that here. Shopping? No.
No, literally. Yeah.
You see, it's like the sort of thing you saw in school on like a UNICEF video, and you try to do it with a football afterwards or something. That's fucking mental. Is it loads like in the videos? Is it loads? I'll stack the fuck up.
Yeah, I posted a picture of it once. Have you seen it? Oh my god!
I might have. It does ring a bell.
Oh my god! Literally, yeah. Let me see.
I see. I went in the shop, in the corner shop. The P word shop, and
yes,
there was a brown guy in there, and it's winter, it's recent, a few weeks ago, and he just had no shoes on, just sort of randomly, like, not like his shoes are wet and he's taking them off, he's just like treading around in winter with no shoes, but the rest of him's fully clothed like a normal person. He didn't look like he was in rags or something. So I'm just like, what is going on? Like, why is there a brown man here walking through the wet with no shoes? Why is he in the shop? What the fuck is this? Doesn't make any sense. I've not seen the shop. If I saw the shopping on their heads, I want to ask him how they do it, because it just seems implausible to me. I think there's hidden glue and strings. I don't believe it. I need to see it to believe it.
All right, I found it. This was a photo taken by me.
Whoa, look at that. Fucking hell.
Yeah, for real.
No, did you follow him for a bit to see where
No, I did. This was quickly snapped out of the window,
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, feast your eyes upon that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're learning. These what do you think about this thing? This is like new skills that are being introduced into the gene pool.
I think it's a bit like swinging one of those big maces around to train with or something. It's got that kind of vibe about it. Do you know what I mean? Like the old ways, like we're bringing back the old ways.
Absolutely.
It's a skillful thing.
This is like a level of, self-sustaining or whatever, Soon we won't need like running water or anything people, soon children will from the age of 4 will be able to travel to the river and collect water from
Yeah.
miles away and bring it back.
The
Or
obesity crisis is going to go
travel
down.
to school 10 miles,
Yeah.
in their bare feet, and we'll survive.
Yeah. We're going to get
Maybe this
hardened
is
again.
what's needed. This is what's needed for Europe. Cannot survive without multiculturalism.
Teach a man to fish in it, and then he teaches you to put a bag on your head and walk down the street. Yeah. We can share things.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's round off on the future then, Stefan, because I wanted to ask your opinion then on. Obviously, I'm a Musk maximalist. You've already mentioned you're not Farage maximalist, but what do you think about this?
It's all right. These people, Stephen, like with Farage, I don't feel a great kinship with them. I don't see myself in them. You know what I mean? I look at Musk and I don't know what's going on. It's just something weird about the jacket, and it sounds really gay. Is he going to do something for us? Are we getting out of it, right? Let me just be completely fucking transactional and mercantile about it. What's he doing for us? Are we getting fucking brain chips or what? Come on.
So, I mean, you agree that AI has rapidly advanced over the last 2 years?
Sure, yeah.
It didn't even exist, basically, 5 years ago. We didn't find out about it until 2 years ago. We got these things, and now it is rapidly advancing. The next 10 years is predicted that, technological change will so rapidly advance. He is one of the technocrats at the top leading this kind of stuff. You either believe that it will destroy society or, revolutionize society for the better, I think. It's hard to say. He's either, and it's one of 3 things, isn't it? He's either an evil technocrat planning domination and taking over the world. He's either a retard, naive guy who's just somehow ended up with loads of money and doesn't know what to do with it. Or he's one of the good ones and believes that he's trying to do the best for the world. And he's autistic. And so the way that he's putting his efforts into is cool cars, rockets, and weird shit, which might not necessarily be that bad.
Yeah, the cars and the rockets I can get behind as cool technology. I mean, I'm not a Musk hater. I don't know if I'm a Musk maximalist. That's the thing, innit? I'm not. He doesn't freak me out. Do you know what I mean? I'm not on some cooked schizo he's here to fry your nuts or whatever they're about these days. But
you don't think he's here to give you the mark of the beast?
No. People just take that shit willingly anyway. Fucking hell. You don't need someone like him to do it for you. People all into harming themselves. But
would you take a brain chip, Stefan, if it was just it sounds terrifying as brain chip. I don't think I'd let anybody drill a hole in my skull and insert a 50p piece size piece of metal directly connected to my cortex or whatever. That sounds fucking wild. But if it was something minor, just giving you an injection or something, and you got, I don't know, 20 IQ points and, I don't know, the ability to download new skills, would you do it?
I think I'll just live on the reservation, to be honest. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about getting 20 IQ.
I might be tempted, I might be tempted. The downloading new skills bit, I might be tempted.
Well, the Matrix, you're going to go and, I don't know, go do giga kickboxing again or something with your extra hand-eye coordination.
Instead of having to learn, I don't know, 5 years to get a karate black belt, just download, jiu-jitsu, and then
just living in the Matrix.
Yeah, well, that'd be awesome. I mean, this is the potential of the future.
I don't like the idea of having something with internet connectivity that can alter my behaviour in my own fucking skull that I can't dig out myself. That sounds not like a good idea to me. Because think about the downside, Stephen. Like, someone might just be able to beam in like academic agent into your environment, and it like replaces all instances of your mother or something, and then it's just always AA. Do you know what I mean? So the downsides are innumerable.
Wow, that is a dystopian nightmare. Holy shit!
Yeah, everyone just looks like AA. There's no everyone. All identities collapsed into Nema. Awful.
But project the future then. Before we go, project the future. 500 years. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree that we're gonna have all these things by then anyway? And so it's only a matter of time, and that the people who, this is like the deep question here now, that we have this schism on the distant right between trads and futurists. In fact, I don't see many futurists. There are people who aren't, in my opinion, living in reality. They believe that you can section yourself off from the world, and like that the future will never get you or something. I like, in a weird way, I like people like the Woodlander or whatever. They want to go and eke out their existence without. Basically, it's a libertarian existence they want, don't they? Really, let's say they don't.
Cabin in the woods. They want Walden. Yeah. Just go off.
They don't want the Third Reich to come and impose and tell them the 25 points of what they have to do. No, they want to be left alone. It's like a libertarian ideal. I can empathise with that. But in general, people who hark on for like a trad existence, there's those people. But the future is inevitably going to catch up with us, and you either embrace it or you don't. What do you think about that?
No, I think it's true. I mean, you set it up in such a way that I can't really disagree with it. Whether it's the best thing to choose or not is the only difference. I mean, I'm not going to make decisions based on, fitting in with the future. Like, why would I do that? If humanity might decide to resist these things by and large, and it might still come. I mean, if we're determining something 500 years out anyway, like we're probably just going to determine each step, right? So, I don't know. I'm worried about people invading my brain in various ways, as we've discussed. If you want to go ahead with it, get with the program. Maybe you're destined to go to Mars. Maybe that's where you go.
Yeah, I once did a video where I said I would go on a rocket that wouldn't come back. Where you were destined to die there, basically, because I heard it's called what's his name? I've forgotten his name. This guy once he set up this project called Mars Direct, and he said you can go to Mars in 10 years and you'd find volunteers who would be willing to go just for their place in history, because humanity would forever remember them. There's two ways to live on forever, and it's by passing your genes on into the future, and the other thing is to do something so momentous that humanity remembers you forever, to pass on a legacy. Yeah,
like a genocide, or something that gets made a statue out of you, something big.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, for as long as humanity exists, they'll remember Neil Armstrong. So he will live on into the future. He lives forever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd do that. Yeah, I'd do that.
Would you do it if you were prohibited from having children too? Like you were going on some kind of building mission, like there's no time for fucking, shagging.
Yeah, I'd do it if it was just a rocket to go there and, run out of oxygen and die.
Oh, on that fuck me, man, Jesus.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I'd do that.
What do you want out of it? Do you want the thrill of the launch? Like the launch probably is fucking insane. Like that looks like fun to me. Do you know what I mean?
No, but it'd be a memorable death. That you'd literally live forever in the history of humanity. Humanity would know of you forever, and you'd live forever.
When you have kids like you in the trenches, like you've got this attitude. You've got this overwhelming attitude to life.
You have to think about it. I'm getting to George. Your super chat in a second, George. We just have to get this out of the park. The millions of people, throughout the world, experience meaningless deaths and they're forgotten. That is almost certainly going to be you and me. A meaningless death where you're forgotten, and your life wasn't very consequential either. people will say, "Oh, but you got to live it or whatever," and all
Well,
this
yeah.
kind of stuff. But to live a meaningful life and with a meaningful death really is true glory.
It's more glorious, I hear that, but I think they both have meaning. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree in general, though. I think if you want to do that, go do it. I think that's cool. Like, I think it's cool to
I
live a
can't
kind of
build my
heroic
own
life.
rocket, can I?
Yeah, but you can die in a trench for me, mate. I was trying to shift you into the
Down the
going out.
trench.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
honestly,
now.
believe me, it's like getting in a rocket. It's like getting in a rocket.
Well, in a weird way, I think this is how these dictators and whatever, Putin, whoever, Adolf Hitler, whoever, I think that this is how these see the world, and they think, well, people live meaningless lives, meaningless deaths, but at least, if, here's a rifle, and they can go and have, a glorified death for their
Mm.
country or something, or at least that's how they excuse it.
I mean, I think you can. I think that's real. I don't think it's like a psyop. I'm not going to take the reading of Dulce et Decorum Est, where that everyone got in English literature in this country. I think it can be a good thing to die for your country. But anyway, should we get on to
Yeah.
Jord?
Right. Woo woo woo. Let's do the woo woo segment. Google Elon's birth date, then Google Bill Gates's birth date, then look up the date BlackRock was incorporated in the UK on Companies House. Numerology is real. Wake up, sheeple. Thank me later. Okay.
See, I want to do it now. He's kind of got me. This is the thing with Jord. He's quite charismatic, even though I feel like I'm the mark.
Right.
That's why
Bill
he's a
Gates's birthday, 28th of October, 1955.
June is. Oh, sorry. Musk is 28th of June, 1971.
28th of June, 28th, 2-8. Is that what we're doing? Now look on Companies House. The day BlackRock was incorporated. Okay. BlackRock Incorporated. Companies House. Let's look this up. We're getting there.
Is it going to be another 28? Is that all we're getting? 28?
Hold on. The tab's loading. Oh, fucking hell. Oh my god. 28th of March, 1969.
Oh, it's another
2-8.
28, Stephen.
It's another 28. What does it mean?
Fuck. It means Jordan knows something. That's what it means.
I thought 27 was the... Or is it 23? There's that recurring... There's a repeating number that happens somewhere.
Wasn't
It's
that a
either
film?
23 or 27.
Is it the number 23? Was that a film when we were kids?
23.
Something like that. Yeah. Mystery /
23?
thriller. I don't know if that's to do with numerology. I would suppose I would guess it is, but it also just looks like Hollywood crap. So
27 is Dead Musicians Club.
yeah.
Well, this is...
Are you going to make it, Stephen? Are we all going to make it? Are we all off in a rocket? Or are you going to kill yourself when you're 27? Oh, we disregard that, but
28 days later. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't advocate killing yourself. Don't do that.
never do that. Never kill yourself.
Never. 42 says Miami Virtue. Well, Joe says 23 is how many pizzas Nima has in his freezer.
They're probably Dr. Oetker ones as well. Ristorante. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stefan, I've kept you 43 minutes longer than I promised.
I'm always happy to come on.
Slipped it in there. So, it's been fun. Stefan's link on... By the way, how did you get 1,000 followers on Twitter? I need to know the secret.
I got them drip, just drip typical way over the tweet here, tweet there, and then I made a post about deporting everyone, and it sort of blew up one day. So I think I've linked it to you before, and that got me probably 350 of them, sort of just overnight. So they all just flooded in.
No
But it
way.
means that my followers are fucking idiots. That's the problem. Because people didn't get the joke.
Yeah. Oh, Ignatz.
Most of the engagement, well, not even that. Like most of the engagement was like Indians and Pakistanis fighting, even though I was just telling them all to fuck off. So I don't know. Don't know what that. It just works like that.
This is what happened to like Keith Woods, basically. You know, when he got on the third worldism pipeline and Free Palestine. Now loads of Arabs and Pakistanis follow him.
I've been audience captured and now I'm lying about voting Remain. That's what's gone on. Yep.
Yeah. Let's just one sec before we go. By the way, thank you for the super chats. If I've not expressed enough gratitude, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. This is Stefan's Twitter page. Right, I really should shut my DMs, but this is Stefan's Twitter page. Go and follow him at Waldword on Twitter. Stefan, it has been a pleasure you coming on. Thank you for coming on SJJMAS. Now you can tell your grandchild, which you will have in about 10 years, you'll be able to tell them that you were on the first SJJMAS after an entire decade of dissonance. The light that shines in the darkness once a year.
And I've still never been invited on Millennial, as I keep telling everyone. So it shows, they're trying to suppress the real message, the real truth. That is the case.
They are. It's shocking. We're exposing them right here, though. Stefan, it's been real. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.